Hi, welcome to the AIM on MS&T podcast. If this is your first time listening to our podcast, first off, welcome. We are glad that you are here. Second, AIM stands for Academia, Industry, and Military, which are the main sectors that make up Central Florida's modeling, simulation, and training community. On our podcast, we talk with different leaders in the MS&T community. We also talk about all the cool and innovative things their organizations are doing, trends that affect the MS&T field as a whole, and keep you up to date with what's going on. If you're not a part of the modeling and simulation community, we hope to share some insights about this important sector of Orlando's economy, which ranks just behind the theme park and hospitality industries. I'm your host, Kate Finkel, and today we are setting a new record for the most guests in a single podcast. With us today, we have Bev Seay, Zach Zuniga, and Liam Etan. Bev is a veteran of Central Florida's modeling and simulation scene, a member of the Modeling and Simulation Hall of Fame, and she currently works as a Southeast Regional Director for the Defense Innovation Unit. Zach is CEO, and Liam is the COO of Zolaris Interactive, a startup they founded in 2023. Welcome to the podcast, everyone. First off, I'd like all of our listeners to learn about each of you. Bev, we'll start with you. What's your backstory, and how did you get to your current role in Orlando's MS&T community?
Well, thank you for inviting me to this podcast. I've been in Central Florida for decades, and I started out building the modeling and simulation business for a company called Science Applications International Corporation, SAIC. And from there, I built this business to the point where I was able to interact with all the combatant commands around the country, in addition to, of course, our local acquisition community, and even work internationally with NATO and our NATO countries. So it's been a long career, and I had a fabulous time. I also retired and spent the last decade or so working with universities, primarily the University of Central Florida and Georgia Tech. And I chaired the board of the University of Central Florida, and I also chaired a number of boards at Georgia Tech. So when I was introduced to the Defense Innovation Unit, I was very intrigued about the way DIU was working with commercial companies and with universities, academia, and startup companies. It seemed like a great opportunity to bring everything in my career together, and in particular, an opportunity to work with students was something that really excited me. When I was at Georgia Tech working on various boards, I also had the opportunity to work in their startup community with their projects called Flashpoint. And the professors there taught me an awful lot about innovation and entrepreneurism. It was great to have the opportunity to work with the Defense Innovation Unit, and so now I am the Southeast Regional Director, covering 7 states, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. So it's very exciting times to be working with talent and startups, and this is a great way for me to bring everything in my career together to help others.
Thank you for that, Bev. And Zach, you're up next. What's your journey been that's put you where you are today?
Well, thank you for having us today. This is really fantastic. So the journey for me personally, I started UCF as a mechanical engineer, but then I found out and I fell in love with the entire industry of photonics and optics. And so I completely switched my major to optics and photonics engineering. And then with that, I also fell in love with electrical engineering. So became a dual major, and I'm still in school right now. I'm an undergraduate, set to graduate in the fall. But I took a class that DIU had sponsored called Entrepreneurship for Defense. That's typically known as Hacking for Defense, but they changed it. And that's where I met Liam, and we met our sponsor in the U.S. military, specifically in the Army. And after that, the rest is history. We'll get into the story a little later, but that's my journey from this point. Thank you.
And now it's your turn, Liam. Same question. Tell us about your journey that's led to where you are now.
Yeah, I just wanted to start off by saying thanks for having us on as well. But yeah, I started at UCF in 2020 as a mechanical engineering major, and a couple years in, I started an internship at Lockheed Martin. That's where I really got introduced into the defense industry. Met Zach my junior year in the class, the DIU sponsored class, and that's when I really realized that there's a lot more cooler things out there, not just in mechanical engineering. And that's essentially what started our company, but I'm also right now working for the Air Force up at Eglin Air Force Base as an aerospace engineer. So I got both things going right now, but it's been pretty fun.
And now that our audience knows your backstories, can you tell us about your organizations and what they do in the modeling and simulation ecosystem? We'll go back to you now, Bev. Where did DIU come from, and what does it do?
The Defense Innovation Unit is a Department of Defense organization that's exclusively focused on accelerating the Department of Defense's adoption of commercial technology at speed and scale in order to deter major conflicts and to win if forced to fight. And DIU also attracts new talent, identifies the best technology, and then we scale commercial solutions across the Department of Defense. We do this with our 3 pillars. We synchronize warfighter needs with commercial capabilities. We catalyze a unified innovation ecosystem across the entire DoD. And we forge new pathways for commercial companies to operate at speed and scale. So, DIU works with partners across the department, interagencies, and local and state governments to tap into entrepreneurism at every level. We offer physical and digital on-ramps for talent, companies of all stages, investors, and other key stakeholders. And this is how we drive innovation in the national security base through commercial and dual-use technology.
Also, DIU has a very direct relationship with the National Security Innovation Network, which plays an important role for industry folks in the local MS&T community. Could you please clarify a bit about that relationship?
In order to meet our 3 pillars, to synchronize, catalyze, and forge, we need to have a unified innovation ecosystem. And that means a unified on-ramp for talent and commercial technologies. By integrating Ensign into DIU, we've created 5 stages for the DIU on-ramp. First is talent, where we source new talent from across the country. We have physical presences, we call them on-ramp hubs, where the local ecosystem can convene, where government, academia, and industry can all get together and share their needs and their capabilities. Our second stage is concept, where we commercialize tech from Department of Defense labs, incubators, and accelerators. We also develop novel solutions for DoD challenges with startups and academia. Our third stage is development. Here, we are accelerating targeted use hardware and catalyzing private investment by de-risking development. And we're also signaling potential DoD demand. Our fourth stage is prototyping. We prototype and transition commercial tech to DoD within 12 to 24 months. We focus on strategically critical projects with a pathway to scale, and we demonstrate DoD demand, providing reference cases. Our fifth stage is production and scaling. Here we transition from prototype to fielded capabilities through follow-on, multi-year contracts and partnerships with the services. Integration of Ensign with DIU provided that complete 5-stage unified innovation ecosystem.
And turning back to Zularis now, for those who might not know about Zach and Liam's company, they specialize in gamified electromagnetic warfare training. That's the super short version anyway. I understand that DIU had a significant role in helping get your business established. Can you please tell our audience about that, and what is your mission now?
DIU directly started our company really because they are the ones who sponsored the Entrepreneurship for Defense class. Mm-hmm. That's where me and Zach met, and that's where we were partnered up with a chief warrant officer in the Army, and he's the one who introduced us to the capabilities gap in electromagnetic warfare training. During the class, me and Zach had no idea what EW really was at the time, so the first step was to figure it out, and we did that through interviewing tons and tons of people the chief that we were sponsored by connected us with 10 guys he knew, and then each of those guys connected us with 10 more guys they knew, and it just kept going and going, and it's still going right now. There's so much to learn. So coming out of the class, Zach and I had come up with a concept, and I guess a proof of concept too, of what solves these problems with electromagnetic warfare training. And that was a gamified virtual environment where you can run these simulations, because training out in the field is extremely expensive. It takes a lot of time to set up. It's intrusive because you're sending out signals all the time. If you're trying to practice how to jam somebody, you're jamming everyone around you. So you have to coordinate with like the FAA, make sure you don't jam a plane by accident.
Right.
So there's a whole lot of coordination, and we can solve that with the virtual training environment.
So to add on what Liam said, spiraling out of the E4D class, we were taken to a competition. US CENTCOM had sponsored the Innovation Oasis 2. And so we were paired up, and we ended up doing the US RCENT version first, won that competition, and that brought us a seat at the table to the CENTCOM version of it. And we get to present our idea and the kind of the design of what we were implementing in partnership with our Chief Warrant Officer based on how it's possible, how feasible it is, and how it's going to solve and make a huge change in the military across the board. And so spiraling out of that competition, again, we were presenting this in front of high-ranking officials, including the commander of CENTCOM, General Carrillo, and a bunch of high-ranking civilians as well. Captain Harrington was there, which is pretty cool from Shark Tank. And so coming out of that, we were like, wow, we really have to start this company. And so the journey from E4D to CENTCOM and after, Bev was our main mentor, and she really, really pushed for us to learn as much as we can. She connected us to the entire community here in Orlando. And that's where we really found out everyone here in Orlando loves helping small companies. They love helping students especially. Mm-hmm. And so we kept absorbing all this information across the board of government contracting and how it works in the government and how the Department of Defense operates inside and out. And so skip forward to August of that year, we start the company, and we ended up competing in a UCF-sponsored competition. We had the University Technical Venture Symposium, UTVS. We won that competition, got us our first $10,000, which for us was really cool. Mm-hmm. And then we competed in the spring, the next year, of Joust, which is the UCS main competition. We came third in that competition. Okay. And again, all that momentum we had gained and traction, it was like, we're ready to get going. And so that's kind of where the journey started. And, since then, Bev and DIU and our team Orlando and everyone, we've heard about these communities, we talked to these individuals, super helpful across the board.
Yeah, I just wanted to add another part of the story because there's so much to it, and I think it's pretty cool, especially with all the help that we've gotten from the community around us. So coming out of CENTCOM, that's when Zach and I decided to start the company officially, and that's when we started talking to Miss Seay a lot more, and she advised us to go sponsor a senior design team at UCF because Zach and I aren't computer scientists, but we need computer scientists to make this virtual environment.
Right.
And she hooked us up with UCF so that we could get a team of, I think it was 4 students in their senior year, and they spent 2 semesters working on our project. And they actually created a really nice demo of what we had already designed. And that's how we met now our CTO, Jacob. He's now at the Virtual Reality Research Lab. He's a graduate research assistant over there. So he has been huge for us since the time that we met him. And since then, we've also gone back and done 2 other senior design teams with the help of Miss Seay. And we met another developer who's now on the team full-time. And from there, we've just been expanding with UCF. We've partnered with a couple clubs. We've got an internship going on with a couple UCF students. And yeah, we're just taking advantage of all the opportunities around us. UCF's great, Orlando's great. We're in the business incubator as well.
That's amazing.
That's been huge. So I'm sure I'm missing a lot of help that we've gotten, but just can't stress enough how grateful we are for this community.
Bev, I understand that Zularis is just one example of DIU's success stories. Could you tell us how DIU works with startups and commercial companies?
DIU focuses on 7 critical technology areas where the commercial sector leads. They are artificial intelligence, machine learning, autonomy, emerging technologies such as quantum and hypersonics, energy, cybersecurity, telecom, human systems, and space. We are currently identifying, matching, and transitioning commercial capabilities in each of these technology areas. Zolaris is a great local success story leveraging all our DIU talent programs. Currently, we're locally working on several Southern Command projects in autonomy using the new Starlink technology for domain awareness. We also have local ongoing Department of Defense projects in artificial intelligence, machine learning, cybersecurity, human systems, and space projects.
The Florida Simulation Summit is coming up in May. If you're in the MS&T business, this conference should definitely be on your radar. It just so happens that one of our guests is the co-host for that event this year. Bev, can you tell us a little bit more about FSS and what does it offer modeling and simulation professionals who attend?
We created the Florida Simulation Summit about a decade ago, working with the Orange County Mayor's Office and the National Center for Simulation. I've chaired that event all these years. It's a crucial event for our modeling and simulation community. We started by showing how the modeling and simulation technologies that were created in defense could now be leveraged into other industries like medical, entertainment, energy, manufacturing. We've covered all of those areas over the years. Now what we're finding is the new modeling and simulation technologies are actually being developed in the commercial community. And this is a perfect opportunity for the Defense Innovation Unit to leverage those commercial technologies in modeling and simulation into defense.
And one last thing about the Florida Simulation Summit before we move on. If someone needed to justify going to the summit to their boss, what would you say the conference provides businesses or government agencies in terms of organizational ROI?
Florida Simulation Summit provides a platform for industry, academia, and government to connect and share the latest modeling and simulation advancements. So for businesses, they'll have access to customers, to partners, to investors. They can showcase their capabilities and get feedback. For government, they have the opportunity to evaluate emerging modeling and simulation technology and consider how these new technologies may be applied to defense challenges. Everyone gets to hear from leading experts and cutting-edge demonstrations. It's a great opportunity to stay up to date on the latest trends and technologies in modeling and simulation. And the networking provides great opportunities to build relationships and get to know who's who in modeling and simulation. The Florida Simulation Summit demonstrates how modeling and simulation is an investment in innovation, demonstrating cost savings and improved operational capabilities.
Thanks for that. And now focusing on small businesses, we all know that the government contracting business has a lot of rules and regulations that can be hard to navigate, especially for folks who are new to the game. When it comes to getting startups like Zolaris established, what kind of advice would you offer new companies who want to get into government contracting? More specifically, what should they be prepared to do, and what business challenges that are typical of government contracting should they be prepared for?
Well, first, they can reach out to your local Defense Innovation Unit representative. We're networked across the country. Your local representatives know all about your ecosystem, who are the industry, commercial partners, what's available for you at the university, incubators and accelerators. They're also well connected with the defense ecosystem, like we have right here in Central Florida. We're very fortunate in Central Florida that we have one of the Naval X tech bridges, which is very similar to the Defense Innovation Unit on-ramp hubs. Our Naval X tech bridge is called Tech Grove. Tech Grove is a result of the relationship between the Navy and all the other services that are in Team Orlando and the University of Central Florida. There are tons of opportunities for the startups to get the information they need because Tech Grove is tied into many of the defense and small business startup offerings, and they also provide a number of events and collaboration opportunities to showcase capabilities and also to learn what the Department of Defense needs. And TechGrove also focuses a lot on gap areas. So they do this by providing price challenges. So it's an opportunity for companies that have capability in the particular price challenge area to compete for not only for funding the prize, but also for getting in front of the Department of Defense organization that has a need.
Thank you for that. Now, Zach and Liam, to reiterate, Zularis is a young company. It's less than 2 years old at this point. From your perspective, what would you say has been the hardest part of getting established as an industry partner for the military? And what advice would you give to anyone starting up their own business in the MS&T community?
For me, the hardest part is definitely just getting in. And it's still the hardest thing, and I think it will be forever the hardest thing. But as for advice for other people, it's all about who you know, who sees you, timing. There's a lot of variables, but all you can do as a business owner is put yourself out there, talk to as many people as you can, go to as many events as you can, do research online, hit up people on LinkedIn without even knowing them. That's actually how we did get in eventually.
Okay.
So you just got to be scrappy, I guess. You got to have great mentors like Bev, Carol Ann. But yeah, it's going to be hard, and you just have to keep going.
Yeah, I 100% agree with Liam. The hardest part is getting that first contract. The government really likes, as it should be across the board, trust in the company, right? I don't want to give money to a company I don't know.
Right.
So how do you establish that trust? And that's found in past performance. Now, when you're a startup company, you don't have past performance. It's really difficult to get. So it's important that you're really paying attention to the opportunities that come across the board so that you can get that past performance experience to then write and talk about when you're looking for contract and bidding on opportunities. And so, like Liam said, we were really fortunate to be really scrappy, and we knew a lot of amazing mentors. Again, going back to Bev and TechGrove, that we got to go to some of these conferences, and the conferences is where you find out what's going on in the community in the larger part. And from there, it's who can I assign a name to that channel, whatever that organization is. Mm-hmm. Let me go out and talk to that person. And then you establish the connection there, and your network is your net worth, right? And so it's important that as you grow those connections and you keep going, you use those people and you ask them, hey, how can I improve X, Y, Z? And you take advantage of all the opportunities you get, and that's how you go ahead and get started in this government contracting business. And that's how we got started.
Thank you for that. And now back to you, Bev. At the moment, the military is still transitioning from a counterinsurgency focus to traditional large-scale combat operations with near-peer competitors. Given that shift in the Pentagon's priorities, what kind of future problems and what kind of pivots would you say companies should be ready to make if they want to stay competitive as an industry partner going forward?
The modern battlefield is evolving, and so are the technologies that can empower our warfighters. So it's important to recognize that we live in an era that demands continuous innovation. So those who continue to innovate can be durable and will thrive. So it's important that these companies stay on top, and the Defense Department stays on top of these emerging technologies and continues to develop them. It's also important that we focus on interoperability among the branches of the military. Rapid prototyping and fielding of new technology will yield key differentiators. The Defense Innovation Unit recognizes this and will continue to evolve as the demand requires.
And focusing back on DIU, what kind of impact would you like to see it have on the MS&T community going forward? Do you see anything possibly causing an evolution in its role or how it operates?
I would like to see DIU be the go-to partner for modeling and simulation. Modeling and simulation will impact all of these critical technology areas where DIU is working with the commercial community. It's important that DIU continues to have a strong relationship with industry and with academia. I'd like to see DIU stay connected to TechGrove. TechGrove's connected with people in modeling and simulation across the country and with those that want to break in.
Thank you, Bev. And on that note, we are going to wrap up our conversation here for today. We appreciate all of you taking the time to chat with us. Bev, if anyone wants to learn more about DIU, where would you recommend they go?
So to unlock your innovation advantage with DIU, the best place to start is with the DIU website, diu.mil, diu.mil. It provides comprehensive information on our mission, our projects, and how to work with us. Also, following DIU on social media channels is a great way to stay up to date on our latest news and events. You can follow us on LinkedIn at Defense Innovation Unit. For those interested in the academic and startup side of the house, looking at the DIU website will also show how the former ensign programs are being integrated.
Zach and Liam, where can people find out more about Zularis Interactive online?
So our website is www.zularis.com. That's ZULERIS.com. We also are on LinkedIn, so go ahead and connect with us on LinkedIn, and we'll be more than happy to talk.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that our website is definitely a work in progress, so just don't be too surprised, but we're evolving so quickly that every month our website's out of date. So if you want the quickest news updates from us, message us directly on LinkedIn. Probably find our emails on there.
For everyone listening, to stay up to date on future events in the modeling and simulation community, check out our website, teamorlando.org. You'll also find us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook for more recent news and upcoming events. If you're interested in sponsoring an episode of AIM on MS&T or being a featured guest, please reach out to Team Orlando News. The link will be below. Advertising on Team Orlando News is perfect for increasing brand awareness and visibility leading up to important conferences and industry events. Right now, we are offering Team Orlando's 2025 Spring Advertising Special. Ad packages of 3 months or more that are purchased by June 18 are eligible to receive bonus offers, including ad reads here on AIM on MS&T. For more information, email advertising@teamorlando.org. The link will be below. That will do it for this record-breaking installment of AIM on MS&T. Once more, I'd like to thank our guests, Bev, Zach, and Liam, for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to follow the AIM on MS&T podcast on your platform of choice, and we will see you in the next one. Bye!